1065 cares about our community with Front Page Jacksonville with Octavius Davis.
You're listening to Front Page Jacksonville. I'm your host, Octavius Davis. If you're just tuning in, I'm speaking with Dr. Shelita McGowan of, yes, McGowan Chiropractic Spinal Rehabilitation Center. And so, Dr. McGowan, I mentioned during the first part of the interview how I had an opportunity to hear a portion of your story at the Think Bold conference last month. And the listeners may not be familiar with your story. So let's transition, because we've had an opportunity to hear about you professionally. But let's talk a little bit about your story personally. Take us to that story that you were sharing at the Think Bold conference. What happened?
With the
home
invasion robbery.
Yes.
So this was back in 2008. I was working at the office across from Memorial Hospital, and by that time we had purchased the office on Brentwood. So Royce was at the clinic in Brentwood, and I was at Memorial Hospital. At the office across from Memorial Hospital. So on that particular day, I went into work for, maybe 2 hours, and then I left to go get my daughter from home.
Okay.
She was at home with my mom. And I had to bring her back to the clinic so that I can bring her to a pediatric appointment. And so what happened was, when I left, I ended up making several turns. I ended up going to a lawyer's office. I had to drop off some paperwork. That whole morning was just off.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing my normal stuff. Usually I'm not in the clinic. I don't leave the clinic. My daughter would have came with me. I would not have, she would have been with me. If I knew she had an appointment at 10, you would have came with me at 7 a.m. And so I ended up making a drive to an attorney's office, dropped that off. Then I went home on the phone with my cousin, just yapping. It's a normal day. We had just got back from a cruise. And so when I came in, I parked my car in the driveway. The garage at the time was in the back of the house. I never not park in the garage. So that was different. This is hindsight. I wasn't thinking that as it was happening. This is I'm just giving you where we are now. So to kind of connect the two. But I parked in the driveway, went in through the front door. I never do that. Went straight to the bathroom. I didn't even say, "Mom, I'm here to get Kennedy." I didn't yell anything because I was on the phone. And all of a sudden I'm using the bathroom and I hear this loud boom. You would have thought a bomb went off. And I heard my mom screaming. And all I could hear was screaming. She was screaming. I'm not talking about screaming I'm talking about just screaming. And the first thing I thought with the noise was something happened to my baby. Furniture fell or something. Because the way she was screaming, you knew something was wrong. And I jumped off the toilet, and I was still trying to, I don't know how Tiffany got off the phone. That's my cousin. How I got off, I don't know what happened. The phone was still, I don't even know where the phone was. I wasn't even thinking about the phone. And I was running, and I was trying to pull my panties and my scrub bottoms up as I was running out of the bathroom. And then when I turned the corner, I met a guy he was in my den, and I was coming out the hallway out of my master bedroom, and he put a gun to my forehead. So as soon as I turned the corner, I'm looking down, I'm running, trying not to trip, trying to pull up my underwear, trying to pull up my scrub bottoms. And as soon as I turned, bam. And he slapped it so hard to my head, my scrubs and my panties just stayed down. I couldn't even pull them up. So, because scrubs are loose anyway. They weren't. So everything was just at my ankles. And he flipped me around and put me in this chokehold, and he put the gun to my temporal, and he just started dragging me around the house. Wow. And then when he was dragging me around the house, I couldn't see where Kennedy was, but I could hear my mom. And all I remember was just dragging him when he was pulling on my hair. It was just my feet, I could feel my feet, how your feet are your feet are dragging. So I'm on a slant, so I'm trying to hold him to keep him from choking me. And then as he's pulling me, my feet are dragging, my panties and my scrubs are at my ankles, and he's just dragging me around the house like a rag doll with still the gun to my temporal the whole time.
Is he communicating anything during?
He was
that
telling me to
moment?
shut the F up. That's what he kept telling me. He was just like, shut up. He just kept saying shut up, and a lot of curse words. I was called everything but my name that day. And it was, and then he drugged me into the kitchen, and he was like, I don't know how my mom and my daughter got in the kitchen. We were all in the kitchen, and he still had me in a chokehold. And by that time, he had hit me on my head, so I had like blood on the side of my face. And I don't remember how he hit me. It just was a lot happening at one time. And he was like, shut up before, he told my mom to make my baby shut up before I popped the baby. That's what he said. And I remember telling my mom, just make her be quiet. Just make her be quiet. And when I tell you, like, the tears, the snot, everything was just like, it was so much. It was just dripping off his arm. That's how, like, he had me, like, in a chokehold. And it was just like, I could see it, like, running down. And then he started asking for money. And so when he pulled us out of the kitchen, that's when I saw 2 more guys in my home. And so it was 3 armed men with no mask. And it was 9:00 in the morning.
Wow.
So that wasn't expected. It wasn't expected to, no mask, just a lot of different things just were happening at one time. And then they ended up, he ended up getting a safe. The other guy, one guy was just like he was just looking for money. I need money. I was like, my purse is right there. He didn't want my purse. He didn't want my purse. He didn't want that. So he just was asking for money. And then I'm like, I don't have any money. And then I just thought about it, and I said, well, my husband has a safe. And that's what I said. I didn't know. And when I tell you, Octavius, I didn't know the code. I would have had to call Royce and ask him what the code, because I didn't. I knew it was there, but I didn't need to know the code. I didn't need to know the code right then. But I was like, I knew where it was, and I told him where it was. And the guy came and he picked it up, the guy who was in the linen closet, and it was another guy standing watch in the foyer. So the 2 were in the bedroom with me now. So they were in Royce's closet, and he ended up getting a safe. And then he asked what was that, and that was a gun box. And so they took the gun box too. So they took the safe and the gun box. He picked it up, and mind you, like, when he's bending down picking that up, my body part is still exposed. Sure. So he's like down there, and we're at the same level basically, and with my body and with his head, it was just a lot going on, like, emotionally. And I just was like, what are they finna do? Like, it was I had no control. And I am a concealed weapon carrier. I can carry a gun. I had a gun, but I got 3 men. What I'm gonna do? Right. What am I gonna do? And you have I'm looking at the gun box. I could see a gun on the mantle, which was high, because my daughter was real little at the time, and it was nothing I could do. I couldn't do anything. And so as he drugged me out of the house, the guy picked up the safes, and he actually ran out the house. And then the other guy who had the gun to my head, he just started like pressing the gun into my head. It was almost like a constant like stop. And so all this was just like so bruised up, and I still have migraines, and they only come on that side now because of the way that he was hitting my head on that side with the gun, the amount of force. So I suffer from chronic migraines. But when he did that, when he turned me around, I started to pray for him. So
audibly or within?
Audibly. So it was like something came through my house, like a wind. And I know it sounds like what is she talking about? But when I watch a lot of scary movies, and you know how they talk about death, or they talk about, and it's this coldness that comes through, and it's like a wind or something. And the wind came through my house and in my bedroom, and it said, lay hands on him and pray for him.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm still crying. And this is, when I tell you this is all happening so fast, like your brain, that's when I realized how fast a brain can work. Like, I know we humans haven't even touched what the brain can do, right?
Agreed.
So when that was happening, it came again, but the voice was louder. And it said, lay hands on him and pray for him. And so I took this hand, because I was able to free it, and I put my hand up under his shirt, and I began to stroke his back. And I said, Lord, forgive him. I said, because he doesn't know what he's doing. And he was like, shut up, B. Shut up. You ain't got to pray for me. You don't have to pray for me. And I just kept rubbing his back. It was almost like trying to calm something. Like a wild animal. And he's not an animal, but I'm saying like just trying to calm.
Soothing him.
Yeah, and it was just, and I just kept praying for him. And I just remember asking God to forgive him. I don't even remember asking God to save my life. Yeah. I don't remember asking God to save my daughter's life. I just asked God to forgive him. And I kept saying that over and over and over again. And he was like, he was starting to tremble. I could feel like the gun was getting looser off of my head, and I just continued to pray for him. And he was, and even in court, he was saying he remembered all of that. Yeah. And I just remember, I just kept praying for him. He dragged me around the house. We came back into the den, and I saw my mom and my daughter laying on the floor in front of a coffee table. And my mom was covering it, and the guy was standing in the foyer. He was still there. But the guy who had the gun to my head, he was like, where are the phones at? Where are the phones? And at that time, we had house phones. And so he took the house phone, he pulled it from the wall, and we had marble floors, and he threw it on the floor, and the phone just shattered. And he was like, where's the other phones? And I was just like, that's it. I didn't know, because you're not thinking. I'm not. That's what I see. That's what we have. He threw it on the floor. Then he went back to the guy at the foyer, standing at the foyer, and I was still stroking his back, and the guy just was like, he motioned to like, let's go, and he was like, we're not gonna kill her. Like, it was like, and so we went into the living room, and he took my head and tried to bash it into the coffee table. And it was a glass table, and all of this just was like, he just slammed my face into the table. And then the table didn't break, nothing in my face, but it was all like bruised up. Sure. And it was just like, it was just pretty bad. And so even now I have like my smile is crooked. So it's like it left like some type of nerve damage, but not like something that I could fix. So it pulls like a little twitch to the left for my face. And so it's like, so when you slam my face, you just went, and then already like hit my head and all this stuff. So it's just something that I just live with after that. But they ran out and ended up calling the police. I called Royce. I would have thought he flew there as fast as he got there.
I'm sure.
Yeah, him and the police, they all were pulling up at the same time. And I'm like, I just got off the phone. Like, and I made sure my baby was okay. And it was a lot. They had helicopters out. They had Sheriff Rutherford, I think, was the sheriff at the time.
At the time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was a lot.
That being an extremely traumatic experience that you and your family went through. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about how you were able to navigate that trauma, because unfortunately that wasn't the only type of traumatic experience you had. You're listening to Front Page Jacksonville. My guest this morning is Dr. Shelita McGowan, sharing with us a traumatic experience that she and her family went through. But on the other side of the break, she's going to share with us how she and her family have grown through the trauma. Stick around. More is on the way.